Titleist 990s. I think they've been built with different coloured ferrules. They look a bit too varied, so they're going to be difficult to sell. Got some shafts in here that are one-off prototypes. The heads are a bit dinged and scratched, and they just look a little bit tired. I'm going to pull them apart, give them a refurb, and see what they can look like after some TLC. Let's see how they come up. So I'm using an old grip here to wrap around the ferrule, pull that down, so I've got a bit more room to work with. Sometimes they're a bit stubborn. Right, the ferrules are down. Now I'm going to pull the heads off. Pitching wedge, 9 iron, 8 iron, 7 iron. Just going to move these up, going to move these down. Next one. Yep. 6 iron, 5, 4, 3. There we go. On here I've also got mid-sized grips, were a little bit too big. I'm going to basically keep these shafts to the side. Next step, polish the heads. We've got dings and things like that in the heel here on the 4 iron. So I'm going to buff these out and just scratches. Going to get them all off with this. So I've done this over the course of a couple of days because it does just take a while. So I've got a 355" drill bit tip here, which is in fact 8.9mm. Some of it coming out already. That's going to go in there, get all the old glue out, and that'll make it a lot easier when we're burning it. So I've got to this stage with buffing and polishing, so I've used this disc to basically get rid of all the little nooks and crannies. So you shine the face up, all the little dings been taken out, so you can see some work there just on the heel. After that point, use a polishing disc and it smooths everything out. So it's come out nice and smooth. That times 8. Right, so that's all of them done down to that level. I've got nice chalky hands. So the only downside that we've got now, we've gone down past the outer layer that they were originally built with. So that outer layer is going to lead to rust. So the next step is to burn all the heads, so it oxidizes, which will then protect the head from rust in the future. So when these are burnt, they're going to get red hot, they're going to oxidize. So once it's really hot, what we need to do is we need to cool the head down. You can chuck it in a bucket of water, it will spit. You can put it in oil, it'll give us a really weird smell. It's up to you. So firstly I go all around the head to get rid of all the condensation because it's changing temperature quite quick, and then I concentrate on one point and wait for it to heat through. Seven more to go. So I've got all the club heads in here. I chose to leave them in there overnight. Reason being is the oil gets very hot. So if you're doing 1 or 2 clubs, you can pull them out straight away, not a problem. But if you're doing 8 clubs, the whole thing gets quite hot. So I chose to leave them outside undercover to cool down. Now I'm going to pull them out, give them a quick rinse in normal water, and then soapy water, going to clean them up just to get all the oil off. Then we can start looking at how the colours have come out and what they're going to look like. Just getting those last hard to reach places, like just right in these little corners. So naturally this will wear off, this finish will go, so as you sort of hit stones and sand and gritty bits, this will come away, as with any finish. The club flakes will also wear a little bit here. If you hit it off here it might as well, just depends how you strike it, but they're looking nice and even. So you can see some of the sanding marks, and I think that just adds a bit of character to the club. I do like that. Face is all looking really good condition now. So all the heads are nice and dried up. So what I tend to try and do is I tend to try and get the length of a towel on the end. If you go in the middle, it's going to poke through. If you go right on the end and wrap it over the tip, I can then push that into the hosel, spin it round just to dry it out and get all the little, any excess water and whatnot out of there. Proceed to do that with all of them. Slide down, get a new bit of towel. So the interesting thing here is we've got a nice coppery finish on these. I went through the same process with both of these clubs. Yet this one turned out quite dark and quite black. This one turned out more coppery. So each club turns out differently basically. I did the same sanding on here as this one, so it depends what the metal is underneath. Now it's time to paint these. Let's see how we go. Here's 3 examples actually. PXG 0311 forged wedge. We've got the copper ones we've just done and a Nike raw forged. So this is a raw one, so there's no coating at all. This is a chrome club, so it did have coating, so they've turned out quite different. And then the copper ones have turned out different entirely. Only thing I didn't do on these is any polishing, so this is just straight off the bat new club. These are all used, these 2 are used, but same process on all 3. 3 very different finishes. Time to paint the tight list. Taking the grips off so I can put different grips on that are a bit more universal for people. Tip wise, just making sure that the tip's nice and rough, so the glue's got somewhere to sit into, and the tips making sure that there's a hole in each one and you can blow through it basically from any end. As you put the head on, there's going to be a vacuum and that air has to go somewhere. I've got 8 heads and 7 shafts, so what I'll probably do is leave out the 3-iron because a lot of people put hybrids and things in place anyway. So I'm going to do a set 4 to pitch and wedge with this lovely bronze finish. So the glue I use for this is a long cure glue, so it's 4 hours to set and then 24 hours to cure. So within 4 hours you want the heads lined up nicely. I'm going to start at the bottom and work my way up. So I've made sure all the hosels are nice and cleaned out, there's nothing in there that's going to cause me any grief. Sometimes the tools that you use to screw in the heads on the drivers and stuff, sometimes they're really good for getting in there and making sure you've got all the little nitty gritty bits off of the inside of the hosel. And they're sometimes quite good to try and just score the metal a little bit in there, get in there nice and thick, just so the glue's got more to grab onto again. Ferrule goes on this way round to put over the top of that, push down. Right, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put all the ferrules onto the shafts. Right, ferrules are all off. Alright, grab the head, get the tip in, spin it as I go. So this is why we drill the tips out, so all that air can go up the shaft. Now I'll wipe off this excess, like this. So wipe off the excess so it's not hanging off the sides. It might be a little bit messy around there, but I can either clean that up right now or when it's finished. Doesn't matter either way. I've got some spirits and things that I use. So when these ferrules are slightly too big, we use acetone afterwards to bring it down to size, so it's flush with the neck. Pitch and wedge. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, and then the 3-iron. I'll probably find a graphite shaft to put into that. If I can find a graphite shaft that complements the steel shafts that are in there, then I'll put it with the set. If it's a completely different shaft, then I'll sell it separately. Here we have the finished products. Do comment below if you'd like any further depth on how to put a shaft in or how to put a grip on.